Hey church family, I hope you're doing well. This is my weekly update video for you. And today, in light of the government's announcement earlier this week about easing the lockdown restrictions and moving us into a position where we're going to be having to make a lot more individual decisions and use our discretion, I want to try and set the scene for you for how things are going to look at Kingsgate. Later in the week, there should be some more detailed information coming out, like practically on what that's going to look like in the building, say on a Sunday or midweek. But for now, I want us to try and set a gospel foundation upon which each of us can make those hundreds of decisions that we're going to have to make together as a church over the coming weeks and months as we look to navigate coming out of this pandemic, but doing it together. And I'd like you to think about two verses from Romans chapter 15. Romans 15 verse 1 says this: "We who are strong ought to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves." And then verse 2, "Each of us should please our neighbours for their good, to build them up." I think these verses give us a really helpful foundation upon which we can think about all those decisions that we're going to have to make over this coming season. Decisions around face coverings, decisions around giving people a hug or not giving people a hug, decisions around how close or far away we sit from one another. Over the last 15-16 months, many of those decisions have been made for us as we've looked to honour the spirit and the letter of the law that's come through from the government. But now we're moving into a position where we're going to have to make those decisions together, and we're not going to be able to rely upon the guidance or the law being passed down to us. And so how can we as a church that love meeting together, that love giving one another a hug, that love singing great worship songs to God, how can we do that in a way that also recognises that in our midst there will still be the weak, those who have maybe some suppressed immune systems, people who are still very cautious and worried about being in large spaces with people because of health concerns. How do we do that well? I think these verses in Romans 15 help us, because these verses speak about having a mindset that is not focused upon me and my rights and what I want to do, but are rather focused upon how can I ensure that I'm looking after, or using the words of verse 1, please the other person. How can I do that? Verse 2 again, each of us should please our neighbour for their good, to build them up. And so really over the coming few weeks, what I'd love to encourage you to do is to be thinking with that mindset as you are navigating all of the changes, and as you're thinking about your part at Kingsgate and how you can care for other people. One of the key things that you need to be holding on to is, how can the decisions that I make please my neighbours, those people that are part of Kingsgate? How can the decisions that I make ensure that they're feeling safe, that they're feeling comfortable, that they're feeling part of what we are doing? This has been a guiding principle for us as elders as we've been thinking about it. It's been a guiding principle for the COVID team as they've been thinking about, okay, so how do we navigate this next season? And so I really want to urge you, in every decision that you make over this coming season, wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, singing with a mask on, singing without a mask on, shaking somebody's hand, not shaking somebody's hand, sitting close to somebody, not sitting close to somebody. Please, I want to encourage you, let the driving force behind that decision be, how can I care for and ensure that the people that I'm with are taken care of? How can we together as a church look after one another? Friends, we're not going to get it right every time, but if all of us are living with that kind of heart in us, that attitude within us, we will be able to navigate this coming season that's not going to be necessarily straightforward, but we're going to be able to do it together because we're looking out for those who are maybe weaker or in need of more care from the rest of us at this time. So friends, let me read it one more time to you. Each of us should please our neighbours for their good, to build them up. So I want to really encourage you, when you later in the week get the information through from Corrie and from Simon about how Sundays are going to look, can I encourage you to read that information and watch the video with the eyes of somebody who is looking to care for and please the rest of the church family, to take care of the rest of the church family. If we do that, we'll be able to navigate this together safely and also joyfully. God bless you all. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.